Every app you open on your Android phone right now is reporting back to Google. Every search, every location check, every notification, every time you unlock your screen, every app you open, and for how long, all of it is flowing into a data profile that Google has been building about you since the day you set the phone up. You accepted this because you thought you had no choice, because you thought the alternative was some unusable hobbyist operating system that could not run your apps and would turn your phone into a brick. That alternative used to be real. The trade-off used to be genuine. It is not anymore. GrapheneOS has changed the equation completely, and once I show you what it is, what it does, and exactly how to install it, you're going to wonder why you spent years handing Google a detailed record of your entire life for free. GrapheneOS is a privacy-focused mobile operating system built on the Android open source project, which is the publicly available foundation of Android that exists separately from Google's proprietary editions. Google takes that open source foundation and layers its own services, tracking infrastructure, and data collection on top of it. GrapheneOS takes the same foundation and builds something fundamentally different on top of it. No Google services running in the background. No advertising identifier tracking your behavior across apps. No location history being transmitted to Google's servers. No silent data collection happening every time you use your phone. The operating system is built by a team of security researchers and developers who have spent years hardening Android against the kinds of attacks and surveillance that the stock version is vulnerable to. The result is an operating system that is more secure than stock Android, more private than any other mobile operating system currently available, including iOS, and more capable than most people expect, because GrapheneOS has developed a solution to the biggest practical objection most people have to leaving Google behind. That objection is app compatibility. The apps you use every day, your banking app, your navigation app, your food delivery apps, your social media, most of them were built to run on Android with Google Play services available. Google Play Services is the background layer that provides location APIs, push notification delivery, authentication, and dozens of other functions that apps rely on. When you remove Google Play Services by switching to GrapheneOS, apps that depend on it either break or refuse to run entirely. This was a genuine deal breaker for most people for years. GrapheneOS solved it with a feature called the sandboxed Google Play compatibility layer. Instead of running Google Play services with elevated system-level GrapheneOS, allows you to install Google Play services inside a completely sandboxed environment where it runs with the same limited permissions as any regular app. Google Play services cannot see your other apps. It cannot access system-level functions beyond what a normal app can access. It cannot communicate with hardware sensors or background processes beyond what you explicitly permit. You get app compatibility with the apps that require Google Play services, but Google Play services itself is stripped of the privileged access that makes it so dangerous on stock Android. This is the breakthrough that makes GrapheneOS genuinely practical for most people, rather than only for security professionals who are willing to sacrifice convenience for privacy. Before I walk you through the installation, you need to know one critical thing about hardware compatibility, because this is where GrapheneOS differs from a straightforward software switch. GrapheneOS currently supports only Google Pixel phones, not because the developers prefer Google, but because Pixel phones have a feature called a Titan security chip combined with a properly implemented verified boot system that allows you to install a custom operating system while maintaining hardware-level security guarantees. Most other Android phones do not have a properly implemented bootloader that supports this. If you install GrapheneOS on a phone that does not have these hardware security features, you get the privacy benefits, but you lose the hardware security layer that makes GrapheneOS genuinely superior to other options. The supported devices, as of now, include the Pixel 6, 6a, 6 Pro, 7, 7a, 7 Pro, 8, 8a, 8 Pro, 9, 9 Pro, and the fold variants of recent generations. If you do not have a Pixel phone already, the most cost-effective path is buying a used or refurbished Pixel 8 or 8a, which gives you a capable phone with several years of GrapheneOS support remaining at a price significantly below a new flagship. Now, let me walk you through the installation from the beginning. The GrapheneOS team has built a web-based installer that runs entirely in your browser and handles most of the technical complexity automatically. You do not need to type commands into a terminal. You do not need to know what ADB is or how to use Fastboot. The web installer guides you through each step with instructions and confirmation dialogues that tell you exactly what is happening and why. This is a significant change from how custom operating system installation used to work, where you needed technical knowledge just to get started. The first thing you need is a computer running Chrome or a Chromium-based browser like Brave or Edge. The web installer uses a technology called WebUSB that allows a website to communicate directly with a USB device connected to your computer. And this technology is currently only supported in Chromium-based browsers. Firefox does not support WebUSB. Safari does not support WebUSB. If your daily browser is Firefox or Safari, you will need to install Chrome or Brave specifically for this process, and you can remove it afterward. The second thing you need is a good quality USB cable that supports data transfer, not just charging. Many USB-C cables sold with phones and accessories are charge-only cables that cannot transfer data. If you are not certain your cable transfers data, test it by connecting your phone to your computer and checking whether the phone appears as a device. If it does, the cable works. If nothing happens on the computer side, the cable is charge-only and you need a different one. This sounds like a minor point, but it is the cause of a significant number of failed installations. With your computer ready and your cable confirmed, go to GrapheneOS.org on your computer and click on the web install link. You will land on the installer page. Read everything on this page before you do anything, because the installer walks you through steps in a specific order, and understanding the sequence before you start prevents mistakes. The first step the installer asks you to do is enable OEM unlocking on your Pixel phone. To do this, open Settings on your phone, tap About Phone, and then tap Build number 7 times in rapid succession. You will see a message telling you that developer options have been enabled. Go back to the main settings screen, scroll down and tap System, then Developer Options. Inside Developer, options find OEM unlocking and turn it on. You may be asked to confirm your PIN or biometric. Do so. OEM unlocking is the setting that allows the bootloader to be unlocked, which is necessary to install a different operating system. On some Pixel models, this option is grayed out unless you have a cellular SIM inserted, which is worth knowing in advance if your phone is Wi-Fi only at this point. The second step is to connect your phone to your computer with the USB cable and follow the installer's instructions to boot into the bootloader. The installer tells you the exact button combination to hold on your specific Pixel model. For most Pixels, it is holding the volume down button while pressing the power button, but the installer confirms this for your specific device. When the bootloader screen appears on your phone, the installer will detect it and move to the next step automatically. The third step is unlocking the bootloader. The installer will send a command to your phone that initiates the unlock. Your phone will display a warning explaining that unlocking the bootloader will erase all data on the device and ask you to confirm. Use the volume buttons to navigate to the confirm option and press the power button to select it. Your phone will erase itself and restart into the bootloader again. This erasure is required because it would be a security vulnerability to allow a bootloader unlock without wiping the device, since someone who stole your phone could otherwise unlock the bootloader and access your data. The fourth step is the actual installation. The installer downloads the GrapheneOS image for your specific device model and flashes it to your phone over the USB connection. This takes several minutes, depending on your internet speed and the speed of the USB connection. The installer shows a progress indicator and tells you when each part of the process is complete. Do not disconnect the cable or interrupt the process once it is started. A failed flash mid-process can leave the phone in an unbootable state, though recovery is possible even from this situation by reflashing through the installer. The fifth step is relocking the bootloader, and this is the step that most guides on installing custom Android operating systems skip entirely or treat as optional. It is not optional on GrapheneOS, and this is one of the things that makes GrapheneOS architecturally different from other custom operating systems. Locking the bootloader after installing GrapheneOS re-enables verified boot, which is the hardware security feature that checks the integrity of the operating system every time your phone starts. With the bootloader locked and GrapheneOS installed, your phone verifies at every boot that the operating system has not been tampered with since installation. This is the same security guarantee that stock Pixel phones have, and it is what makes GrapheneOS genuinely more secure than just removing Google apps from a stock Android phone. To relock the bootloader, the installer sends another command to your phone. Your phone displays a confirmation warning, and you confirm it with the volume and power buttons. After locking, the phone restarts and boots into GrapheneOS for the first time. When GrapheneOS boots for the first time, you go through an initial setup process that is similar to setting up any new Android phone, with one significant difference. There is no Google account setup screen. GrapheneOS does not prompt you to connect a Google account because it has no integration with Google services at the operating system level. You set up your phone, configure your Wi-Fi, set your PIN or biometric, and you're done. You are now running an operating system that has no Google data collection built into it. The first thing most people do after the initial setup is install apps. GrapheneOS comes with its own app store called the GrapheneOS App Store, also sometimes called a Crescent, which contains a curated set of apps that work without Google Play services and that have been reviewed for security and privacy. For many common tasks, there are excellent alternatives here. For messaging, Signal Works perfectly on GrapheneOS and is one of the most secure messaging applications available on any platform. For a browser, Vanadium is the hardened Chromium browser that GrapheneOS ships with, and it is excellent. For navigation, Organic Maps is a fully offline maps application that uses OpenStreetMap data and requires no Google account or Google Play services. For email, Fair Email or K9 Mail cover most needs. For a keyboard, you are no longer forced to use a keyboard that reports what you type to a cloud server. For the apps that require Google Play services, which I described earlier, you install them through the sandboxed Google Play environment. To set this up, open the GrapheneOS App Store, search for Google, Play Store, and install it. When it installs, GrapheneOS places it in a sandbox profile where it runs with limited permissions. You then open the Sandbox Play Store, sign in with a Google account if you want to access paid apps or apps you have previously purchased, or create a new throwaway Google account that you use solely for app downloads without connecting your real identity to it. The apps you install through the Sandbox Play Store work normally for the user-facing features, but the underlying Google Play Services layer that they depend on cannot reach beyond its sandbox to access your other apps, your other data, or your system-level information. There are a few features of GrapheneOS beyond the basic privacy protection that are worth knowing about because they represent genuine security improvements over stock Android that most people do not realize are available. The first is profiles. GrapheneOS allows you to create multiple user profiles on a single phone, and each profile is completely isolated from the others. You can have a personal profile, a work profile, and a profile that contains your sandboxed Google Play apps, each completely separated from the others at the operating system level. Apps in one profile cannot see apps in another profile. Data in one profile cannot be accessed from another profile. This is not the same as the work profile feature in stock Android, which provides weaker isolation. GrapheneOS profiles are hard isolated at the kernel level. The second feature is the permission system, which is more granular and more enforceable than stock Android. GrapheneOS allows you to grant apps network access permissions separately from other permissions, meaning you can install an app and prevent it from accessing the internet entirely, which is something stock Android does not allow. An app with no network permission cannot send any data anywhere, regardless of what other permissions it has. This is a powerful tool for using apps that you want for their local functionality, but do not trust with network access. The third feature is the automatic update system. GrapheneOS updates itself automatically and silently, installing security patches as they are released by the GrapheneOS project. This means you do not need to manually manage updates, and you do not fall behind on security patches the way many people do on stock Android. The updates are verified against the same cryptographic signatures used during installation, so the update system cannot be used to push malicious updates even if someone compromised your network. People who make this switch almost universally report the same reaction after a few weeks of use. They expected to miss things, and they do miss some things. There is a period of adjustment where you look for functionality that is not immediately obvious, but what they did not expect was how different the phone feels when it is not constantly doing things in the background on behalf of Google. The battery lasts longer, the phone is quieter in terms of background activity. And there is a specific feeling, hard to quantify but consistently reported, of being on a device that is working for you rather than working for someone else. That feeling is what GrapheneOS actually is, underneath all the technical detail. It is a phone that belongs to the person holding it. That should not be remarkable. But in 2024, it is. And now you know how to get there.